Howdys and salutations, y'all. Hope you're having a good Sunday, or whatever day it is for you. It's probably Sunday for most everyone at this point. Actually, I think it has to be. Hope things are going well this whatever time of day it might be. Sorry for the long time since the last stream. But yeah, we're getting right back into ArtFight, so I'm not going to take too long. We're just going to jump right in. Last time, well, a couple of things. One, we'd actually made pretty good progress on Pandora here, which is GalacticTragedies OC. And so we will be continuing drawing her, and hopefully wrapping her up today. We'll see. Because I can't do a full-length stream today. We've got some conflicts, but I can do a little ways. And yeah, so we'll just see how far we can get. I've left myself some notes on what I think we need to improve. That is one of the upsides of taking a pause, and why I really miss my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Oh, pardon. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday was nice. Yeah, there's not much more to say about it other than it was nice. Having the little gaps there as opposed to just doing 3 days in a row and then 4 days off. But having the pauses does allow me to sort of take a step back and try to think through what needs to be improved, which can be handy in its own right. So let's grab this, get back to our normal real G pen brush, hopefully on a reasonable size. I guess we're using... Sorry, I guess we're using a slightly smaller one than I've been using up to this, or been using on some of my other drawings lately, but that's okay. I'm going back, for the record, the main issue, I believe, is that we've got some proportions problems. I think the head is too small, and I'd had some times where I thought that the whole, upper body section was too small, but I think it's specifically the head, and then we've got some things that are too big in the lower half. So I think some small tweaks we can get it not perfect, but acceptable, you know? And given that ArtFight is a marathon, not a sprint, and we've got many a piece to work on, aiming for perfect isn't really what we can do. It's not a good idea. Yeah, I think I like that better. There we go. If she's standing against the wind, it makes more sense that this would, not be billowing out to that side. Still not entirely sure what's happening here. Surely that would have to be, slightly more form-fitting? Just because the wind would be blowing it up against her. Not anything crazy, just, minimizing that a little bit. And then the leg width, I think the issue was that I was sort of drawing it as though both feet were the same distance away when they're not. Making it too narrow does look jarring. So we don't want that. But, maybe we can make something that looks a little more, balanced. This is making me realize that it has really been too long since I practiced drawing legs. I need to go back and refresh on some of that. For example, the angle on this one looks wrong, but I couldn't entirely tell you why. Perhaps adjusting this a little bit would help. Probably not. I suspect it has to do with how this joint's connected. I have a sense that we shouldn't see so much of the side view on it. The problem is, I'm not entirely sure how to fix that. Maybe something like this? To some extent, the whole silhouette's just going to have to deal with it, but that's okay. And then, of course, yeah, an actual face reference would probably be a smart thing to use. He says, not opening up a face reference. Not yet, anyway. Since this is a semi-cartoony style, the head probably ought to be at minimum normal human proportions, if not larger. Alright, so if we lose the silhouette for a second, this is looking... I mean, it's still not quite up to the standard that I'd normally like my art to be at, but because we're trying to keep a move on with ArtFight, I think it's still pretty good. Certainly better than it was. Let's see. And larger head also means opportunity for larger hair, which is fun. Oh yeah, let's see. If we're thinking... having to tap into some old stinking proportion memory about like head sizes, ratios to other things. Give me a minute. We're talking... This is an option. We can just take this and physically move it to compare. Oops, I forgot that actually grabs things. Let's maybe not move the eye. Okay. Head height should be about... What? The shoulders are like 1.5... Well, it's measured in widths. At heights, you've got like the chest would be 1.5. It's close enough. So now, rather than messing with the face, because I think we're just going to let it be. May do some hair tweaks just because she's got enough hair that I want to imply it going further. I mean, not anything crazy, just clarity that we're not at the bottom of it yet. Even though, you know, the direction the wind's blowing, it ought to be blowing, like, way off the other way, but... Nah. Because frankly, I feel like having the hair do that and then, like, arc around and then, like, show up back here would probably not look good. No, it's like a worm. Even, like, small amounts. And anything else just has most of the hair not visible, which isn't really what we're going for. So, I'm going to call it on line work for now. Get a slightly larger eraser. If we want to come back, we can work on the face more in the future. That's certainly an option. Okay. Now we've got this, which I'm going to have to correct. And make sure that I'm on the right layer while I do it. We are on the flat/base values layer. Pardon my yawns, it's still quite early on a Sunday for me. So I'm still not 100% awake yet. Hopefully we'll be getting there soon. That's the wrong brush. Let's see. Clear out some of this excess. Probably use the fill tool to just like fill it with transparent, but that leaves kind of weird borders, and this is going to be better with the anti-aliasing anyway, so you know. That said, I am going to use the fill tool for this section. And then just a big old brush afterwards to help clear it up. Okay. Then, oh no. Well, hold on. Let's actually look at our reference. Whoops. Actually, pretty light eyes. A light green that kind of matches. Gotta stop doing that. We'll say matches the shirt. Got a lot of stuff in that tone already. In fact, I think it might already be at that tone already. Well, that works out well. May not pop much against the skin, but that's okay. That'll do. Let's get the hair actually filled in proper like. I know we're going to have some cleanup on that one. Whoops. Maybe a smaller brush for the cleanup. Get some of these loose odds and ends out of here. Grab this, make sure we get this sorted. Clean up around the edge here a little bit where the fill tool just isn't going to be quite as clean. Make sure we're getting down there. And make sure we're actually getting this point out here. Nice. Okay. And that's probably an issue on the line layer. Let me clean that up real quick. With something slightly smaller than that. Also, sorry to everyone who was there for the last, 5 minutes of the last stream. That was a really fun stream right up until then, and I'm sorry that folks came in and decided that they were going to have more fun trying to mess with other people's days. Thanks again to everyone for being super, chill and not engaging with any of that. Oops. Everyone was very reasonable, didn't go for any of the flame bait that was getting thrown around, didn't fall for any of the dubious ban tricks that were going in there. Was really, really cool of y'all. We have since then made some progress on the mod tools. I now have a better sense of what we need to do if that kind of group shows up again. So hopefully we won't have to deal with them for as long as we did this time. Amazing. I don't think they were here more than 10 minutes, but it sure felt like an eternity. Oh well. Not entirely sure what the fun is of messing with other people's days, but I know they seem to get satisfaction out of it, so the best thing we can do is just not ignore them, but ban them, and then not acknowledge them further after that. Because, their goal is to make people upset, so the more that you actually react, the more it weirdly encourages them. It's a weird mindset, but, I mean, the people have always had issues with being that way. Just that's a humanity problem. Just an innate human problem. Oh, jeepers. Okay, yeah. Hold on, let's get this hue layer sorted out, because it's going to have similar problems to the last one. Whoops, that's the line layer. Clear this one out. Man, these are really bold colors. But they don't look bad, necessarily. This looks like we got a little bit of a gap in the fill there. Clean that up. Liking these shoes. Appreciating the advice we got last time on those. Oh, we didn't even... There we go. Let's do a little bit of hair color filling in first. Clean up everything going on down here, because I know that that one was just kind of weird. Skin tone, which doesn't contrast great with the hair, at least not with ours, but it's good enough. Then I'm just gonna do that. Grab the shirt screen. Oh boy, yeah, maybe not fill tool that one. Holy cow. Then, whoops, keep up with this one. And I want that to get right up to the edge of the hair, with the implication the hair is actually covering some of it, so... and then what we... Oh yeah, we used this one for the eyes as well. And I'm probably going to want to get in here and do a little bit more... Just... Really? That's what this color is? It's that gray? Interesting. Well, then I kind of have to keep it over top of the other things, or else it's, interesting. Okay, and now I can go through and do a little more manual cleanup, just because I want to clean these edges up a little bit. They've been... There's some rough ones. Let's see. Ah, okay. No, that's an issue on the flats layer. Some of this darker tone creeping in. Nope, not there, but... There we go. That should be better. Okay, hold on. This one ought to be dark. Now I really am getting into nitpicky nonsense. Okay, just a tiny little bit here. There we go. Good enough. Solved, I think. So, hopefully good enough. If that's not good enough, I don't know what is. Okay, hold on. Couple of things. One. Oh boy. As usual, how many hues have landed on here? Yep. Okay. Well, that explains both of the weird color problems I was seeing. There we go. Get this. Fill in there. We'll do some proper fill-ins up here. I don't know what happened with that one. That one's just looking weird. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a smaller brush just to do some of these last, like, fine detail-y bits. And then I'm going to try to stop worrying about this level of detail, because this is not actually particularly helpful to making the piece look good. Got those buttons, got the legs, which are looking decent. Color matching. Oh, bottom of the shoes, I've got two different things going on. Yeah, I don't hate that. Okay. Next up, let's get some lighting and shadows on this. Nothing crazy, for the record. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, no, we need the shirt color layer, too. There we go. That makes that pop more. Okay. Then on top of the hues, we're going to make ourselves another color layer. Down here. Cool. We'll call it shadows. my goal on this... What is my goal on this? If it's a color layer, then I can't do this. Maybe I have to do a normal layer? And then just nab the color and... Yeah, that's how it has to be. Okay, normal layer. But instead of doing the grayscale for the shadows, I am just going to grab our colors and then like up or down the thinking value. Thank you, brain. Took a minute, but we got there by a little bit. Not that much though. Subtract 10, not make it 10. Okay. I do need to consider where the light source is actually going to be, though. That's going to impact some things. Interesting, interesting. We could have it like over on this side. That would get us some more dynamic face lighting. That'd be kind of interesting. Might be fun. Yeah, we can work with that. I'm just trying to think through exactly how that one's going to look. Boobidoo. Give me a half a second. I'm going to try to set up my workspace so I can use my own face as a shadow reference. May have to get a little clever about that, but we'll see. Okay, so if we're seeing that side... Hold on. Okay, matching this, we need this side in light. Okay. That side in light, so these two in not light. And then mirror available for referencing. I probably don't have a bold enough light on that side to really do this justice, but we can start with that. Yeah, we can work with that. And the face is going to be the hardest part. Everything else will be easier. Example, in the shadow layer, we grab this one. Drop that value down to 59. Get ourselves a slightly larger brush, at least 25. Always interesting how shadows almost seem to converge. Like dealing with shadows is like the opposite of all of the old draw within the lines rules, because they tend to surround lines a little more. Like the lines still matter, don't get me wrong, but like it's not in the same way, which is kind of funny to me. They're not funny. It's just really more of just an early morning observation because my brain's tired, but. Yeah, that really wouldn't have shadow, would it? Okay. Or we can, like, give a little more form to the hair by having some layering going on in here. Rough that in with the fill tool. And cover up a lot of that stuff we were being nitpicky about earlier anyway, so just another lesson in why it's not worth nitpicking over all that junk. Okay. I know there's a way in CSP, and I think it involves that lighthouse icon, to clip something to a layer that's not directly below it, but I still haven't figured out how to do that. Come on, there we go. Just a little bit of depth, come on, we can do that. Shoulders ought to be casting a shadow on a fair chunk of this at this point. trick remembering with shadows, of course, is that, well, one of the many. The thing that I'm trying to work on remembering right now, because it's going to be a little funky, is that the angle of, like, sure, the shape of the thing casting the shadow is important. Like, I could just have the shadow fall to the shoulder exactly, which I might do out of laziness, or just because I don't have the details to make the other way correct. But technically, it also matters what the shadow is being cast upon. If you have a square and it's casting a shadow on a curved surface, the shadow's not most likely not going to look like a perfect square from almost any angle. Jeepers, that one's rough. There we go. That's why I'm giving the shadow a little bit of, like, the actual hair shape to it, even though technically, you know, it's not like the hair's casting the shadow. Okay. Let's go with that for now. I always forget that because we're doing the value and stuff the same, I have to, like, the value and the hue and color, all of that at the same time. I can't just color grab from anywhere in this section. I have to actually grab from my shadows. Taking a minute to relearn that for the time being. Also, I hope my mic hasn't been too crunchy today. I have heard that it's been acting a little crunchy lately, so do give me a shout if it's, like, real bad. No matter the direction of the light source, there's still going to be some shadow cast by this. Just not too much. Really ought to get bigger as it goes this way, not smaller. No, we'll keep it small. Just in general over in this part. Ah, hands. These are going to be fun. Get a little shadow in here to make him pop. Let's see. We can give her nails to match the shirt. That might be kind of fun. Whoops. Ought to do that on the hue layer, though. A little bit of artistic liberty on that one. I hope that one's okay. Okay, let's grab this, and that, I mean, basically all of this one's going to be in shadow. Okay. We've already got the cardigan shadow color. Cardigan shadow gang. Oh no. That singing shadow wizard money gang thing has been going around. Got no idea what that's from. Okay, and then thinking once again about light source direction. Giving it to the side, but not, like, too much to the side. Yep, okay. Got that. We've, of course, got some of this is still going to be in shadow just in general. Shadow there, and then, you know, all of it after a point. Far enough to the side. I had to do some like proper. It's been a long time since I've done just like a proper still life. I should definitely like do one of those again, just for some good shadow studies. I always come back to them and think, wow, this is way better than I remember from like art class, and then I just never do a second one. I'm like, why? They're helpful. Honestly, the bigger issue in art class was I just didn't have the like technical line skills to render what I was looking at, and so I would get frustrated. It wasn't even like a shading issue because I wasn't even to that point yet. Yeah, that feels like that ought to be more. That. Increase as we get more in the curve, and then decrease back down. Going with that. Okay. Have this one sort of fade out. There we go. And give like a little bit of an edge. Something fun there. Give it a little more kick. Not sure that actually works, but you know. We'll see. At this stance, like, a lot of the stuff like buried down here is going to be kind of caught up in shadow too, ain't it? Yeah, so I'll be honest. I had to take just some time off from drawing and stuff. I like was gonna wear myself out, not even burn myself out. I just hadn't been getting enough sleep. Mainly I spent all my time and energy on the refs prepping for it, and I was like, wait, crud, my sleep schedule's already ruined. How am I gonna do actual ArtFight now? But we're here. I just had to take a pause, and in that pause, I've been having a go at Pokemon Scarlet, which I gotta say, is certainly a game. That's not fair. Like, it's got some charm in it. Like, the further I get into it, the more I'm like, okay, there's some stuff in here that is, like, there's heart put into it, or thought, at least. And, like, there's some fun ideas in here. But, holy cow, it is... it does have bugs. It's got so many technical problems. None that have been like game breaking, but like I've clipped through several doors by accident. Like by walking up to the door, and then instead of going into the door, my character just walks through it and then doesn't trigger the loading zone. And so it's just like, whoops, no door for you. One of them I managed to trigger on the way out, which was interesting. Like I hit the loading zone from behind. But like it's got some jankiness. I don't know, the real problem though is that it's all of the little things. It reminds me a bit of Animal Crossing, where the menuing and interface design is so terrible. And I mean, I'm sorry, it's really bad. That it feels like the game is and it's doubled because there's a lot of lag time on menus. And so it kind of feels like the interface is fighting you, which is not fun. I don't know how to say that other than that's not fun. Like, anytime I'm like actually starting to get into the game, it's suddenly like, whoops, psych, would you like to have button nightmares? It's not that the buttons don't work, it's just that they're either extremely slow, or they, like, they're mapped in places that still feel extremely weird to me. Like, having B do the crouch is... And this is definitely just because I've played old Pokemon games and I've got muscle memory for it. But I'm so used to B being sprint that I hit it pretty much constantly, and so I am constantly crouching down by accident. And I feel like they could have mapped the new controls less annoyingly. Like, the methods to get into the map and get into the... Like, some of the Like the Pokédex and some of the internal stuff there are like so much more convoluted than the old bag menus used to be. And maybe you can still get into it in the bag. Again, like I'm definitely there's a fair chance that a lot of this is user error and it's on me. I'm not pretending like I'm the perfect gamer and I know exactly what's wrong with it. It's just that like there's a lot of little choices and they're all exasperated by the lag problems. Like the menus wouldn't be as frustrating if they loaded when you pressed a button. Like stuff like that. That said, the actual like Pokemon progression and stuff, I've been having a really good time with. It feels like they did that part well, which is interesting because I feel like that's one that they have messed up a lot in previous games. So if they, if they were choosing to put their time there instead, that's a perfectly reasonable place to put their energy, and I can't really gripe with that choice of focus. But there's also little things that just the world seems so much bigger and grander and yet less alive. Like I'm constantly getting snapped out of my like suspension of disbelief, partly because laggy stuff in the background is jarring, but partly because, and this is not a 2D versus 3D issue because they've done this really well in 3D games in the past. It's just in this one maybe it's a scale problem, but there's all these moments where, like the city, for example, like where Stinking the Streamer Lass is. I will admit I don't remember her name. Iona or something? Iono? Okay. There we go. She was fun, and the gym challenges are a lot of fun. Not gonna deny that. And quote unquote Clive has been absolutely my favorite character, and I'm loving having him around. He's been a blast. But but then you like walk into the city and you're just like, oh, those are cool skyscrapers on the horizon. But because it's all like in the one unified world, there's no internal or external. There's no loading scenes to get into cities and stuff. Like you get there and you're like, oh, these are really terrible. And because everything is so empty and you can't go into any of it, you're just like, oh, this is like, it feels more like a flat matte background, even though it's technically 3D because you can't interact with it like in any meaningful way. And its size scale is not right proportionally to anything else. It's just kind of like, oh, I guess not. There's no like little fun secrets in there, at least none that I've run into yet. It's just is what it is, and you're like, well, it's just sort of there, and that's even that, like, that's fine. Trying to do big cities in like a game where you're on a different scale is tough, like definitely. But like the other issue that like really compounds and takes me out of the story a lot more than that is they've made some choices with like the text scrolling that weird me the heck out. Like I'm trying to even figure out how to put it. It feels like every single action has to finish before the next one can, even in places where that makes no sense. Like, for example, talking to a Pokemon. Like, when you talk to a Pokemon, first off, you have to wait for them to rotate all around to face you, and then you have to wait for them to do their little preloaded animation from whatever pose they're now facing you at, which feels horrendously unnatural, because the turns are so slow. So it's like, you click on a Pokemon and you're waiting there. And with NPCs, a lot of the time it's the same problem, where like you click on them and they do their action and then there's dialogue and text, and it's just like, oh, it's agonizingly slow, and it makes the text scroll speed, even when I set it to fast, it makes it feel slow. I'll get onto that a little more in a second. But like, it makes every interaction feel immediately artificial and gamey. Like there's no just walk up to someone and have a quick like, oh, easy chat, easy conversation done. There's so little of that. it's all like, okay, click and then click through 16, or like wait for a bunch of loading stuff, and then you can get your one little bit of dialogue, which in turn I suspect is probably making people angrier at the dialogue, because it's not like the dialogue is less trite than in some other places for the random NPCs around. Like, yeah, they don't say much of anything clever, but they don't need to. The problem, though, is that because you have to put in so much energy to get what they're saying, like to hear it, you feel aggravated when there's not much of a payoff. And it's like, oh. But the other thing, and this is the one that's killing me on the text scroll speed, is like I've got my text on fast speed. I'm a quick reader. Even since I was a little kid, I just preferred it that way. I'm also probably impatient. It's not a bragging thing. I guess the shadows are probably going to be a little off, but that's okay. Yeah, the shadows on the light green are probably too dark down there at the bottom. Let me grab from the top here. Okay, fine. Yeah, we're not really doing our nice, clean, perfect shadow strategy. We're just trying to get it done in this case. That way it'll be, good. Let's try 66, honestly. No, not that. There, that feels better. But, like... I'm trying to even remember. We're talking about the dialogue. Oh! Stinking used to, you could mash through text if you needed to. Like, not super quick, but it'd be like one click to finish the text and one click to immediately move on to the next line. And that was true of, like, gym leader intros and stuff to an extent, too. And now it feels like the text finishes scrolling, but there's some other internal timer that it just has to wait for. So whether or not you're on fast speed or slow, you don't get to move on until, like, the same point in time. At least that's what it feels like. Because the number of times that I have had to stinking, like, wait. Like, I click through the text, I've read the text, it finished scrolling, like, a full 2 seconds ago, but I can't move on to the next thing, is really annoying. And nowhere was that more of a pain than in a fight that I actually enjoyed, which was the Team Star, like, what's her name, like Mira, something like that. The fire squad, fire force. That crew. They just, I don't know. Like, her intro has so many of those in a row where it's like, okay, and she beat the snot out of me a bunch of times because I'm doing like a harder run than normal, so I'm limiting myself to 3 Pokemon. And most of the Pokemon that I chose are not exactly great against fire. I had Lechonk. I had my Sprigatito, which had evolved once, but was still grass type. And then I had a really low-level Buitzel. I was like, yeah, this isn't going well. We got better. I had to go level up a bit, but we got there. When the Torkoal one-shots your entire team, at some point you have to be like, okay, I'm going to go level up and come back. You can't... There's no strategy when you're just immediately out every time. Until I figured out Soak, and then that did help mitigate a lot of the pain. Dang, those things hit like a truck with the harsh sunlight. Or even just their normal power, honestly. Anyway, but her intro, every time I fought her, you've got the cutscene where she drives up. I guess spoilers for her intro. Cutscene where she drives up. She says, I think, one thing of dialogue that has to sit and wait for a while to finish. You can't click through it. And the dialogue box has like a little yellow icon in the bottom left, so it looks like it's telling you, like, okay, we've loaded, you can click through now. How did I manage to drag this up here? But it hasn't. And then there's the pop-up with her title card, which also does that. And then I think there's 2 more lines of dialogue before the battle starts, and you can't click through, like, speed click through any of them. They all get their, like, full 2 to 3 seconds, which isn't a ton, but when you're trying to iterate on this fight, it feels like a really annoying wait that doesn't serve any purpose, because, like, what is it even loading? Like, genuinely, what is it loading? I don't know. So, it's all those little things. Like, the game itself, you can tell like there's a lot there's charm put into it. The gym challenges are fun. So far, the cities I've gone to have been really fun. I should mention this is technically like a second-ish playthrough because my first one I got to the first gym city, didn't even fight it, and then had run into enough like mistakes and problems that I was like, I want to do a fresh start on this. For a couple of reasons, but one of them is that the first gym city Nimona tries to take you to is really, really boring. I can't speak to the gym challenge. Maybe there's more interesting stuff there, but the city itself, like I remember getting out of the wilderness and stumbling into what looked like a stinking rest stop and being like, this is a city? What else is in this game? So I've been very, very relieved to see, like, obviously, like the school zone is going to be busy, but I'm happy to see that the external cities actually exist, and I had just happened to wander into a small one. Because I was getting real worried that, like, if that's what the game's cities were, that it was going to be like Sword and Shield, but worse, in terms of just, like, stinking tiny towns. So even though there's no stinking interiors and we've lost a lot of the fun dialogue that we used to have with those, at least the cities themselves have stuff to do in them. I almost wonder if they start you on that quest in that direction, because that gym is an easy one, but also to get that city out of the way, like just get it done, that's probably not fair. Maybe there's more charm to it. Like maybe I'll come back to it and be like, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember. But I wandered in there. Admittedly, it was like a rainy night, so it wasn't like the most exciting time. But I was hoping to find some sort of shelter, and it was not loving it. There's a little cafe on the roof, and then like 2 restaurants that are copy paste from all the other restaurants, and then that was it. It was over, and I was like, well, this bad. But again, that's not to say the whole game is bad. It certainly isn't. There's a lot of charm and a lot of care put into it, which is really great. And I'm glad that there is. Okay, the face. We were going to have to come up and do this at some point. We've got the lighting for it. Maybe it would have been easier with the lighting the other way. It's still doable. I just have to be able to tell the difference between tiredness under my eyes and actual shadows. That's probably a bad sign. I should probably be getting more sleep. Ah, well. Okay, let's try this. Let's get maybe a less diffuse light. Okay, we can work with that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, give me just a minute. We'll start with... Oh, hey, cool. Oh, no, I thought it was ambient occlusion, but it's light from my monitor. Not exactly what I was going for. Okay, so we've got the light source, and she's technically looking kind of away from it. So we're going to get some interesting shadows there. Okay, so under the chin there, around the mouth. Nose kind of has stuff there. Well, we'll start on it. Problem is with the direction of my light source, i.e. a window, I am going to have to, like, get a little bit creative. Or, really, the problem is just that I have to invert it. Let's see. So there's that. We've got the nose coming to under eye, which makes sense. Forget that for now. Where's the next boundary? We don't have a ton of like mouth detail, so we'll see if the shadow ends up being like too much detail for the mouth zone, or maybe it'll give it the detail that it needs. Who knows? That brief moment of panic where you're not sure you're on the correct layer, but we're good. I can smooth some of this out a little bit. And then, of course, there is still going to be a little bit of light in here. It's going to be something more like that. But it also feels like it ought to be, yeah, match the curve of the face a little more. Okay. Now we're going to have some shadows. Not a lot under that bit of hair, to be fair, but some from the ear. And my brush feels so tiny for this section. Interesting. Okay. Not anything fancy schmancy, but it fits well enough. Oh, I forgot to put shadows, or meaningful shadows on the shirt. Hold on. I see now why the brush was so small. Useful for situations like this. Ah, rats. That's why I need to do separate lines. Makes undoing safer and more consistent. Like that. That's also not a bad way to practice your line control, as if you're just doing it on everything you do. Let's continue that shadow down a little more, shall we? And after all, the cardigan's going to be waving pretty good ways out, actually. But I don't want that to be tangent to this. There we go, that feels better. And we could even get a little shadow from the cardigan on this. There we go. That gives the shirt the depth that it was missing. And that's really the biggest thing about shadows and highlights, is they give that depth that you need. Okay, speaking of highlights, I don't think we're going to go crazy on them, but we can do a little bit. I'm going to make a new layer for them just in case. Grab this, but instead of going darker on the value, this time we're going to go lighter, so up to 50. Gonna kind of continue that around. Okay. It's not a metal, so it's not going to be like a sharp highlight like this. That's sort of the challenge that I'm trying to deal with, is it's going to be a softer highlight where it's actually catching the light. Let's see. You have to clean that up a lot. Whoops. Yeah, I kind of figured this one would look wrong. It's going to need to actually, like, you know, follow the curvature of this a little more, I think. Need like a little bit. Whoops. A little bit on this one. Too, just to catch that. We'll get a little on the skin and hair too, probably, but that doesn't need to be as intense. Let's see, what else have I been doing besides ArtFight just to recuperate? Oh, right. I should have known better than to download a manga app, but like I did anyway. And for the record, what I mean by known better is that I have a long history of really enjoying like indie comics and stuff, and I've got some friends who've gotten me into anime. So knowing those two things, I should have known that it would just destroy my free time, devour all of it, which it basically has. But the one I've been reading lately that has been much better than I expected. It's been really good. I'm gonna grab this and like shift it a tiny bit towards the skin tone, which I think is, let's see, that one's 69. This one's going to be 81. Okay, so then grab it. 9 to 75. I don't want to go all the way. There we go. That fits better for what that look is supposed to be. And I know that's on the highlights, but whatever. But it's been Freerun. Beyond Journey's End has been incredible. Like I don't know. It is rare to have one that packs as much of an emotional punch as that one does, but like in a good way. There's plenty that pack like an emotional gut punch in a bad way, but that one somehow handles like nostalgia and also just straight up loss in a way that is like it's bittersweet, but it somehow leans more towards the sweet despite everything. It's almost more like a journey of acceptance as opposed to most of the nostalgia these days seems to be like desperation to go back to those days or like a mourning for the loss of the past. This one seems to be more of a like appreciation for the past for what it was, and then the ability to enjoy the present more because of that, which is like I feel a much healthier way to think about or to go about life. But it's also, I don't know, it's just been really sweet. Now I'll admit, as it's gone on, after the like witch exam arc or whatever you call it, the sorcerer test, or I don't remember. I'll admit that it has some of the charm faded during that arc, and it went more into like, well, it's mainly it struggles because to my shock, it has ended up being one of those ones where you have to deal with characters who were attempting to absolutely murder the main cast for very stupid and selfish reasons, and then the next moment they're like, but friends, and it's like, no, no, stop doing this. I get very frustrated when shows pull that stunt. Like, yes, I get the whole themes of moving on from the past, but when the past was 12 minutes ago and they'd still be willing to murder you if it was like convenient for them. No. Don't hang out with them anymore. But it's sort of been moving past that. But yeah, it's been very interesting, and definitely got to say a very enjoyable read. Sorry. Up there with Assassination Classroom, just in terms of like character interactions being so potent, which it sounds ridiculous because Assassination Classroom as a show title sounds like not something that would have any emotional impact at all, but that's also a weirdly well done show for what it is. I wonder if I can read the manga for that one somewhere. I went the wrong way on that. Because for context, I've been using the Viz app that they made. Wow. Okay, I wonder what the actual value of the underlying. I should have probably been grabbing the values from this layer, huh? Oh well. Lighten that. Let's go to 70, I guess. But it's grabbing this orange. I'm just gonna go to 80 and see what happens. Still darker. How? 95? Okay, I'm gonna leave that as is then. That's getting into those colors where it's mutedness. It's not the things I'm tweaking are not the problem, and it's gonna take an eon to figure out what is the problem. So yeah, not worth the time. Worth the time if we didn't have many other wonderful projects we also want to do. I want to give this project the time it deserves, but I can't really afford to give it more than that, you know? Yeah, for context, I've been using the Viz app, and they have a limit of you can read 100 chapters per day, which I've hit 3 times in the last month. It's a 1-month subscription for $2, which I'm not sponsored. I'm just my jaw's on the floor that's even a thing. And it doesn't have for context. It does not have all their series. It has a limited list of the ones that are currently running. So like it's not perfect and amazing, but it's still a pretty darn good deal. And it's the kind of thing that could actually combat piracy, which is amazing. Because usually you don't bother trying to fight that with your prices; they fight it with other means. They're actually trying to compete, like economically, with the pirates. I'm curious how that's going to go for them. But kudos for trying, I suppose. And in the meantime, I'm going to appreciate the very, very cheap manga. But like I've hit the limit 3 times in less than a month, and I'm probably closing in on 1,000 chapters read. Between Frieren, which has fewer but longer chapters, and then I read Komi and Tonakawa and Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle, which, like, between them have, I want to say, 300 and 200 chapters, so that's like 800 there. So yeah, I've been reading a lot of those, plus the 70 from Frieren, plus there was another one I read, but it only had like 18 chapters, and they were really long. Oh, and I did try Ranma 1/2, but I didn't enjoy that one. The premise was interesting. The actual writing was really generic, and maybe it wasn't generic when it was made, but it's like tsundere to the point of stupid and not fun, in my opinion. So I decided to bail on that one pretty quickly. The main character's relationship dynamic is terrible. And the number of completely arbitrary situations they end up in is not fun, in my opinion. But I'm sure there's people who enjoy it, and I'm not saying they're wrong for enjoying it. Never say that. Folks can, as long as it's not hurting anyone else, people can enjoy whatever. But likewise, people can also not enjoy whatever, and that's okay too. The internet seems to forget that a lot. It's handling all these moves pretty well. Okay, let's go to lines. Let's grab this. Chuck it somewhere. I don't know. You still want it to be intrusive, but not anything crazy. I'm not really that worried about art theft other than AI things right now. And frankly, AI don't care about your signature. So the stinking web scraping stuff, which is not new tech for the record. This is just malicious application of existing tech for a new dubious profit model. So, more of the usual, really. Okay, now let's see if we can't have some fun with, now let's grab this color. Let's go a little darker on it. That might be too much darker, we'll see. And I want a new layer for this. Always like those ones where they're able to pop a shape behind it, and it just kind of gives it a little more volume. Not volume, but depth. That's the word I'm looking for. That said, I'm not going to be like, oh, it has a background for points on ArtFight. Obviously, that's hardly That was like 30 seconds of effort tops. So, like, be a little silly to try to claim that's a proper background. Okay, and then, all right. I actually kind of liked it better where it was before. Yep, okay. Now, the main thing I want to do is see if I can remember how to do it. There's a way to resize the canvas. Canvas properties? Let's see, width, I think we really probably don't want to go beyond like 2880 here. We can go to 3400, make it square. That'll be decent. That did not cut the piece I wanted it to. Cut from both ends, that's interesting. Change canvas size. Ah, okay, I can choose a reference point. There we go, width, 3400. Yeah, I can adjust it to make that look reasonable. Cool. Grab this with it, and a little more shifting around still. This is silly stuff, but it does help with like the presentation looking a little cleaner at the end. I don't want the character in the middle. I'd rather have the background askew than the character. And I've noticed one issue that we didn't clean up on the hues layer, huh? Whoops. Since the hues layer is clipped, it was fine as long as there wasn't... Oh, it's not clipped. It's colored, though, so as long as there wasn't anything behind it, that didn't show up. But now that there is something behind it, much like here and in here, we've got to clean that up a little bit. Let's see, everything else looking decent. I like your color scheme. Let's see. We'll have to go get this posted. That's easy enough. Taking some time to do. Let me crack open ArtFight and see where we're at. 3 weeks remain. Okay. Cheapers, 14 million to 14 million. You know, I'd been thinking about switching teams in order to be able to, like, score more points. And because people are more likely to, you know, revenge when it's not friendly fire. But on the flip side, and all my friends are on vampire, or at least most of them. But on the flip side, like, I don't know, at some point I'm just going to stick with the team and have fun with it. So I'm going to stick with vampires, I think. Like, it's not really about the points, and I'll be honest, if werewolves was losing, I would probably be swapping to them. But, oh, right, I don't want to spoil the list of people that we're going to next. Let me, whoops. Some hints there, I suppose. But yeah, okay, so for GalacticTragedy is the name of the artist who originally created Pandora. What were we saying? Before spoilers. Oh yeah, I don't like swapping to the winning team. It feels like even with the best of intentions, it still feels like you're like undercutting. I'm like, eh. Let's see. It is probably, I assume old ArtFight, when it was much smaller numbers, probably had a lot more score volatility, but like there's so many people in this one that the score just is fairly consistent, and they're always going to be close. Like that bar is always like in the middle. No one's dominating, and no team losing is going to be able to like rally an intentional like rush that's going to make any dent at all. At least I expect not. Okay, let's see. So Pandora Marsh, here's the original page in case anyone's interested, number 3374564. And yeah, so that's one done. Probably won't be able to start the next one today. Unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate. We've got some family who are back in town, and so I'm going to go visit them. So not unfortunate at all, other than unfortunate that I don't get to do more art with y'all today. But don't worry, we will definitely have more time in the coming weeks. However, I guess this is also a good moment to give a heads up, and I will be mentioning this on ArtFight and updating the Twitch schedule and all that. Next week, I'm going to be traveling, so it's going to be kind of a dead zone for my ArtFight. I'm going to have to talk to someone and see if I can do any art on the road, but I mean, it's a trip, so I'm probably not going to have the time. Even if I have the tools, which I won't have access to Clip Studio Paint or my computer or my tablet, those things don't move well. It's a tablet that has to connect into a computer. It's not like an iPad. Those things don't just like up and go in a plane particularly well. So I'm going to have to maybe get creative about that. But we may have a little bit of an ArtFight dead zone. I'm trying to get as many attacks off before then as I can, so that if I get any revenges, I'll have the last week to, I'll have the last week to do response or anything like that. Don't want to mess up, and I don't want to I kind of hate doing attacks right at the end because it doesn't give people time to respond if they want to. And I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of selfish. Of course, everyone likes getting art revenges back. It's a lot of fun. But it does mean it does mean that I want to try to get as many attacks done before then as I can. There's going to be some that push till later. That's just the nature of it. But we're going to try to do as much as we can this week. Also, as a note, Tuesday is actually my 1-year stream anniversary, so there's not going to be anything major planned because it lands in the middle of stinking ArtFight, which is probably a bad time because I don't have time to prep anything else because I'm prepping ArtFight. But we'll try to do some things and shift up. We may actually get to posting online a little more rather than just here, and we'll do some fun stuff for the stream, or at least I'll try to. So, yeah, hard to believe it's been almost a year already. And yet at the same time, it feels like it's been 3. Funny how time be that way. But yeah, okay, I'm probably going to wrap up here because I need to go get ready to meet folks. But thank you all for jumping on. I hope you've had a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, whenever the heck it may be. Global time gets complicated and confusing in the best of situations. And I will see y'all tomorrow, hopefully to do some more ArtFight. We'll start a new character. I'll get this one posted on ArtFight too, and just I'm going to try to get that done before I leave. We'll see. But I've got to make sure I get a thumbnail for it and get the details and all that. It's easier than posting a new character, but it still takes some time. In any case, I hope y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all on the flip side.